Have you ever said, "Yes, of course," with a bright smile while your insides were screaming, "Absolutely not"? Have you ever stayed late at work to help a colleague, even though it meant missing something important to you? If you have, you probably know the feeling that follows, a quiet, simmering resentment, mostly directed at yourself. This feeling has a name. It's the good girl hangover, and today we're going to finally understand it. For so many of us, being nice, helpful, and easygoing isn't just a personality trait, it's a survival strategy we learned as girls. We were praised for being accommodating and selfless. But what happens when that childhood programming follows us into adulthood? It leaves us with a chronic condition of people-pleasing, an exhausting, invisible job of managing everyone else's feelings at the expense of our own. In this video, we are going to do a deep dive into the psychology of this good girl hangover. We will validate the exhaustion you feel and explore the 3 deep-seated fears that drive this behavior. To guide us, we'll follow the composite story of Maya, a woman drowning in yeses. Her story will be our anchor as we explore why we fear rejection, why we believe our needs are a burden, and why we feel responsible for things that are not our fault. Most importantly, we will map out a genuine path back to ourselves.
The loss of the witness, the fear of rejection. If I'm not useful, I won't be loved. Name and define. The first and most primal driver of people-pleasing is the fear of rejection. This is the subconscious belief that our value in any relationship, with a partner, a boss, or a friend, is directly tied to our utility. We believe our helpfulness is what makes us worthy of love and connection, and that saying no would sever that bond. Imagine this. It's 4:55 p.m. on a Friday. You're packing your bag, and you can already feel the sweet relief of a quiet evening ahead. Your boss walks over, his expression stressed. "Thank goodness you're still here," he says. "I'm in a real jam. I need the quarterly projections reformatted for the Monday meeting." Your heart sinks. Every part of your being wants to say, "I've worked 50 hours this week. This will have to wait." But a jolt of panic, cold and sharp, shoots through you. The thought flashes in your mind. If I say no, he'll think I'm not a team player. He'll be disappointed in me. He'll see me as difficult. The fear is so immediate that the words just tumble out of your mouth. "Yes, of course, no problem at all." The relief on his face does little to soothe the familiar, bitter taste of self-abandonment as you unpack your laptop. This is your attachment system in overdrive. As humans, we are wired for connection. Being cast out of the tribe was once a literal death sentence. For many of us as women, this system was trained in childhood to believe that our agreeableness is the price of admission to any group. Saying no feels neurologically dangerous because it threatens our sense of belonging. In that moment with your boss, you aren't just agreeing to extra work, you are subconsciously negotiating your place in your professional tribe, sacrificing your well-being for a fleeting feeling of safety and approval. A healthy, secure attachment framework operates from a place of inherent worth. The alternative isn't to become unhelpful or aggressive, but to respond from a place of choice, not compulsion. A healthy response could be, "I understand you're in a tight spot. I can't stay tonight, but I can make it my first priority on Monday morning and get it to you by 10 a.m. This response validates his need while still honoring your own boundary. It communicates, "My worth here is not conditional on my immediate compliance." Let's be clear, this behavior often comes from a beautiful place. The desire to be helpful, supportive, and collaborative is a strength. In many situations, being a team player is beneficial. The problem isn't the act of helping, it's the compulsion behind it. The good girl hangover turns a generous choice into a fearful obligation. The behavior started as a genuine adaptive strategy to create harmony, but it has now become a cage that limits our autonomy. If this fear of rejection goes unchecked, it leads to a complete erosion of the self. You end up with a life built around the priorities of others. Your schedule, your emotional energy, and even your career path can be dictated by a series of yeses you never wanted to say. This inevitably leads to deep resentment and a profound sense of being a stranger in your own life. The myth of the easy woman. My needs are a burden. Name and define. The second pillar is the myth of the easy woman. This is a deeply ingrained societal script that teaches us that our needs are an inconvenience. We are conditioned to be low maintenance, to take up as little space as possible, and to never be a burden. Voicing a need for rest, for help, for a different opinion can feel like a high-stakes, selfish act. Your close friend calls you in a panic. Her babysitter canceled, and she has a non-refundable spa day booked that she's been looking forward to for months. I know it's a huge ask, she says, but could you possibly watch Leo for the afternoon? You'd be saving my life. You feel that familiar sinking feeling. Your Saturday afternoon is your one sacred window for your pottery class, the one activity that is purely for you. The thought of molding clay with your hands is what got you through the week. But immediately, a voice in your head says, her need is bigger than my want. It's just a hobby. Saying no would make me a bad, selfish friend. You picture her disappointment and feel a wave of guilt. Before you can even consider a compromise, you hear yourself say, don't even worry about it. Bring him over. What are friends for? This is social conditioning in action. From a young age, many girls are praised for being accommodating and nurturing. You have likely internalized the belief that your need for restorative creativity is less valued than your friend's need for relaxation. You have placed your needs at the bottom of the hierarchy. This isn't a conscious calculation. It's a deeply ingrained emotional reflex to prioritize others' well-being to prove your own goodness. The healthy alternative is not to become ungenerous, but to operate from the belief that all needs are valid and worthy of consideration, including your own. A healthy response would be honest and compassionate. "Oh, I feel for you. That's so tough. I would love to help, but Saturday afternoon is my pottery class, and it's something I really need to recharge. Could you do Sunday instead? Or is there another way I can support you this week?" This honors the friendship while also protecting your own non-negotiable need for self-care. The intention behind being low maintenance is often to make relationships feel smooth and harmonious. We do it because we value the relationship and don't want to create conflict or stress for the people we love. It can be a genuine act of love and service. The toxicity appears when it becomes a default setting, when we suppress our own needs so automatically that we forget we're even allowed to have them. The goal isn't to stop being kind, but to include ourselves in the circle of people we are kind to. Continuously suppressing your needs leads to a life of quiet desperation. You can become so disconnected from your own desires that if someone asks you, "What do you want?" you genuinely don't know the answer. This creates a profound emptiness and can lead to burnout, anxiety, and a feeling that you are invisible, even to yourself. This is a lot to take in, I know. Let's just pause for a second. Of these first two patterns, the fear of not being useful or the feeling that your needs are a burden, which one lands more for you? Let me know in the comments if that sounds familiar. It's so powerful to see these patterns written down. The responsibility trap. Their feelings are my fault. Name and define. The third driver is the responsibility trap. This is the false belief that we are responsible for managing the emotional states of the people around us. It's a lack of emotional boundaries where another person's disappointment, anger, or sadness feels like a personal failure that we must rush to fix. You're on the phone with your mother, and you can hear the sadness in her voice as she talks about being lonely. You listen, you offer sympathy, and then she says, "You know, your brother visits me every weekend." It's not a direct accusation, but you feel it like a punch to the gut. A hot wave of guilt washes over you. Your thought process is immediate. Mom is sad. It's because I don't visit enough. Her loneliness is my fault. I am a bad daughter. Before you know it, you've canceled your Sunday plans and promised to drive the 2 hours to see her, feeling that familiar, toxic cocktail of resentment and obligation. This is a classic sign of enmeshed or porous emotional boundaries. You have taken your mother's feeling, loneliness, and accepted it as your own responsibility to solve. You have confused influence with control. While your visits certainly influence her happiness, you do not control it. This trap is especially common for us as women, as we are often socialized from birth to be the emotional caretakers of our families and communities. A healthy, boundaried response separates responsibility. The alternative is to hold space for another's feelings without absorbing them. A healthy response would be compassionate, but without taking on the blame. "Mom, I'm so sorry you're feeling lonely. That sounds really hard. I can't visit this weekend, but I would love to schedule a long video call with you on Sunday evening. And let's plan a visit for next weekend." This response offers care and connection without sacrificing your own life on the altar of her feelings. It says, "I love you, and I am not responsible for fixing your emotions." This sense of responsibility for others' feelings is deeply tied to empathy, which is a human superpower. 3. Being attuned to the emotional states of others is what allows for deep connection. No one is advocating for a cold, detached indifference. The problem isn't the empathy itself, it's the lack of a boundary around it. The goal is to move from a reactive empathy that drains you to a compassionate empathy that allows you to care for others while still protecting your own emotional well-being. Living in the responsibility trap is a direct path to caregiver burnout. You become hypervigilant, constantly scanning the people around you for signs of displeasure. It's an exhausting way to live. It can also create resentment in your relationships and, paradoxically, can disempower the people you love by preventing them from learning to manage their own emotions. Now that we understand these internal drivers, let's zoom out, because this isn't just a personal problem, it's reinforced by the cultural air we breathe. In highly individualistic cultures, common in North America and Western Europe, the good girl might be seen as lacking confidence or being a doormat. The solution is often framed as an individual act, just be more assertive. But in many collectivist cultures, prevalent throughout much of Asia, Africa, and Latin America, the line between people-pleasing and pro-social virtuous behavior is much blurrier. The focus is on group harmony, being agreeable, anticipating others' needs, and putting the group before the individual are highly valued traits. In this context, saying no isn't just assertive. It can be seen as a selfish act that disrupts the harmony of the entire community. The pressure to be a good girl can be exponentially higher, making the internal conflict even more painful. This isn't about which culture is better. It's about recognizing that this hangover is a complex issue, and the path to healing requires us to understand both our personal psychology and the powerful cultural scripts that have been shaping us our entire lives. Understanding is the map, but healing is the journey. It's about taking small, consistent steps to reclaim yourself. The path will be unique to you, so let's explore a few approaches based on different healer archetypes. First, are you an analytical healer? Do you need to understand the why to make a change? Your work is about making the subconscious conscious. Start a boundary journal. Each day, write down one instance where you said yes when you wanted to say no. What was the fear underneath it? Rejection? Burden? Responsibility? Seeing the pattern in writing is the first step to dismantling it. Second, are you a creative healer? Do words fail you? Is the emotion too big for language? Your work is about giving yourself permission. Write yourself a permission slip and stick it on your mirror. I, your name, have permission to be difficult today. I have permission to disappoint someone. I have permission to take up space. You can also practice role-playing in front of a mirror, literally saying the words, "I'm not able to do that," until they feel less foreign in your mouth. Third, are you a somatic healer? Do you feel the yes as a tightness in your chest or a knot in your stomach? Your healing must be physical. Before responding to a request, place a hand on your heart, take one deep breath, and create a tiny space between the request and your response. You can also practice power posing in private, standing tall with your hands on your hips to physically embody a sense of groundedness and self-worth before you have to navigate a difficult conversation. A universal ritual for all healers is to start small and build your no muscle. You don't start by saying no to your boss. You start by saying no thank you to the cashier who asks if you want to sign up for a credit card. You say, I can't make it, to a low-stakes social invitation. Each small no builds the strength and confidence for the bigger ones. The good girl hangover is a heavy burden to carry, but it is not a life sentence. It's the ghost of an old survival strategy that no longer serves the powerful woman you are becoming. Healing begins with the small moments, the pause before you answer, the choice to honor your own needs, the quiet realization that your worth is inherent, not earned through self-sacrifice. By understanding the fears that drive us, we can begin to treat ourselves with compassion. We can learn to say no with kindness and yes with genuine intention. We can become women who are not just nice to others, but are finally, deeply kind to ourselves. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe for more deep dives into the psychology of our lives. You are not alone in this feeling.